go against the law, as Robert has a lot of experience in this and can share his knowledge with us. He became vegan 8 years ago, actually, and along the way, he did many different things, and he's a teacher. So I'm looking forward to see where this conversation is going. Thank you, Robert, for being here.
Thank you for the invitation.
So as usual, we're going to start with simpler questions, but then later on we're going to talk about like really good topic that is also very interesting for me because I didn't do it so much in my past, but Anya and Robert are really into it big time. So the thing is that, Robert, we are always interested in the people, you know, who are in our podcast. How and why did you become vegan and active? And I heard that you became a vegan 8 years ago and really fast you were active as an animal rights activist. Can you just maybe shortly say what happened in this day, you know, or what happened that you became vegan and active for the animals?
It was a shock for me because I didn't give myself these questions. What happens with the animals? What is this animal agriculture? And never till I'm 42 years old, I had never mind this thought about animals and this planet. And then 8 years ago, I had a confrontation. A good colleague was become vegan, and then he told about animal agriculture and what happens with the animals. And every day we see us every day, and I started eating vegan at home. We lived together in this community, and we had an apartment for people, and he changed his lifestyle. And every day I was confronted with these questions. And so then I started reading books about animal agriculture, about veganism, about animal rights activism, and also looked films. And it was a terror for me and then horror to see all that suffering that happened. And I don't understand how it can be that I have never thought about these things, these questions. So it was really a shock. And when I went to vegan, I think half year later, also I started with first activism. And I remember I started in the main station in Zurich with flyer, and I gave also booklets and some fact sheets and so on in a little small group, activists, and we gave this to the pedestrians and gave this information, and they started also little talks about veganism. And so step by step, I came in more and more into this activism. Yeah.
You know what, Robert, before we go on, I'm just always interested in these stories, you know, how people change their behavior, you know, and you said you had some shock at the beginning, yes, right? What was the shock? And also, by the way, why didn't you know anything about animal agriculture before?
Nothing.
That's interesting, right? Because people also don't know. And yeah.
Yeah. I ate these things, I buy these things, but I had no connection with this, what it was behind the flesh, behind the eggs, how what happens with these animals, that they are breeding. We're breeding that. It's like a capitalism. Every time higher and faster and more and bigger, and that's so unhealthy. Unhealthy for the animals, unhealthy for the planet, and for us at best, but not at least. And for me, the shock was that that I was so naive, not thinking about that, because every time I thought I'm a good teacher and I think about I reflecting people, but about the animals. Nothing. What happened with these animals and with these creatures and other species. And so many animals that are dying and suffering, billions of sentient beings. And that was incredible. Also this, wie sagt man, Zahlen, diese
Numbers.
numbers. Yeah.
So the shock was really that you didn't know before once you heard about it.
Nothing. And what happens with these creatures? Yeah.
So you said you started by giving out leaflets on the train station and doing this kind of activism. I know as well you're active with Anonymous for the Voiceless. Basically everywhere where something happens, Robert is as well in Switzerland. But what happened? How did you come to civil disobedience actions which go against the law?
Yeah.
So how did you cross this border, and maybe explain quickly what does civil disobedience mean?
Yeah. Well, first, what I said, I started with give flyer out. And then one time I was also on the main station, and one activist came to me and asked me, Robert, do you want to come next week to the slaughterhouse, in front of the slaughterhouse? We want to do there, and we want to stay for the animals. And we want to ask the people there, are they working to stop for 3 minutes their cars to give the last time some drink for water for the animals, and show compassion to the other species, and also for a protest, of course, demonstration. And I was absolutely agree, and the next week I went to this slaughterhouse with this little group, and we stood in front of this slaughterhouse with some messages and all that. And then we repeated this all 2 weeks, and this movement is grow up international, safe movement. And then there I knew more activists, and so step by step we made networking, and he has some idea and she had some idea, and we built a network and groups. And the next step was a group, an animal rights activist group. Then I came into this, how I can say, civil disobedience. We started with run-ins, for example. We went to this fast food chains and go in and scream some messages, flesh is murder, for example, and so on. We informed people, and we had also these messages on these letters. Yeah, and also on public. But we didn't ask the police how can we do that. We did that. That's what the start of civil disobedience. Yeah, going in public with a small group and tell about this injustice and this suffering of animals to the people.
So what does concretely mean, like civil disobedience? Okay, a small group of people going in public and speak directly to people, but in which way? So if someone is watching right now, and by the way, if you're watching this podcast right now, you can comment, you can ask questions as well, because I'm also interested in this topic. For me, it's not such a the thing that I do every day. So if you're interested in something, if you have your own opinion, let us know. Let's discuss about this as well. But Robert, for the ones who don't even know what this means, civil disobedience, maybe just in short, what this is and how this
what it means.
Yeah.
It means that disobedience, of course, you are not agree with this practice and traditional norms what you have in the whole day. You see this injustice, and the problem is that the law is not with you, and is against these animals. And this civil disobedience means that you stay for these animals and you say, this law is not correct. What happens? We don't need this, and we have to change law, text, and we have to change our mind and mindset about this species. All what we learned about this is wrong. And you act, you give a voice for these animals, and you stay together in a small group, and you fight, but not violence, of course. It is a friendly fight and love-based fight, and you scream out and you tell in different ways what happens and what we have to do to change.
Yeah.
That means it for me. Yeah.
You said small groups, but for sure, like you can be big groups or small groups. But the essential thing is what you said, now that you go against the law because the laws are not right. There is like this famous quote, by Martin Luther King: "One has the moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws." So just because the law says something is right doesn't make it morally right. And as citizens, it's our duty to fight these laws, because if everyone is just obeying to not facing problems, we're part of the problem. So
right. Yeah. That's a good definition. Yeah.
Definitely. What kind of civil disobedience have you done? Now you talked about this small protest in a store, but I know you did different actions.
Yeah.
What
For
more
example, hidden theater on the public. You do a theater, but the public is not informed what happened. That is a theater, and you tell about this problem in form of an actor or actress, or also a normal theater in the public that indeed all of course is not legalized theater. So you have to count that the police came and stop these theaters, for example, and go in the public, or you go in the restaurant and tell the people that are eating their fishes or flesh or whatever animals food, what happened with this. They are eating, and you came in and you tell that. That's also a form of civil disobedience, an act, or stable occupation, of course. We had 2 stable occupation in Switzerland, and I was also part of it.
Yeah, I remember, we've been together, all the 3 actually, in this action. We were both in the farm, and Matej was outside of the farm.
Yeah.
How did you feel during this action?
Yeah, of course, it was horrible to see all this suffering. So it is, how I can say absurd in English. It's absurd, I think. Our imagination is not. We can't imagine what happens with these chickens and also pigs and so on. And to see, and I feel then also anger. I'm so angry and helpless, because I want to change immediately what happens. I want to change all the system, but I can't. Only what I can't to go there and to stand with other people and to give a voice. So, and also what you need is Geduld, patience. So you are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours perhaps, and you need also many skills, communication, for example. You have to be prepared. You go in, and you have to be able to keep low the stress level. So this is all a big challenge.
Maybe quickly for people who don't know, sorry, what this is, stable occupation. You said you were with chicken, with pigs, so we went illegally of course, without the farmer's consent or police knowing, into a laying hen farm with around 9,000 laying hens, free range in Switzerland, to show the conditions, to be there with the animals, to take footage so no one can say this is fake. And we are still waiting now for the legal problems awaiting us. I want to ask you something about this in particular, but now I don't remember it. That's funny.
But maybe you can continue with this, because these kind of actions are not legal usually, right? Because especially if you go into why are we doing these things, which we're going to talk about a bit later, but these things are not legal, going in a farm, lock yourself there and just wait for the police to come and to show for the public and so on, And also now, because I somehow understand these things a bit differently, maybe because I didn't do so much these civil disobedience things, although I did maybe 5 or 10 of them, but still you were like really active in this area. Let us know, where is the border actually, because this is illegal. So where is the border? Where does it start, to be, I don't know, a problem that we went too far? Or should we even do things that are illegal to make a change? What do you think, Robert? And Anya as well, actually.
One point is that the problem is the system. And what we have only a small group of people, little groups, activists, 100 activists, 30 activists, not so many. And you have to choose farms. But we have everywhere this suffering and these problems. So the problem is you choose one farm and you go to this farmer. And this farmer, of course, he says, but I do all what we have per law. I do all right. No, that's not the problem. The problem is that the law is false and how we treat animals. And that the problem is to send a good message that they understand. They don't understand that. Some months ago, the Schweizer Bauer is a newsletter for farmers. They brought an interview with this farmer. We went to occupy his farms, and he told these activists, they tell that we treat animals schlecht. Bad, yes, thanks. And no, the problem is that the system is bad. And then we wrote for the Bauer, Schweizer Bauer, we wrote a counter article. And then we told in this article, what we mean is the system, and we have to choose some farmer because they represent the system. This is not against the farmer, because the problem is the system. We have to change the system, then the farmer change also, and then we have these problems. And of course, consumption have to change also, clearly. So we have to all go and become vegans, the whole society, because it's possible. That's also one of the myths that we think as society we need flesh and eggs and so for our health. No, that's a wrong thing. It's a wrong idea. It's an old idea. So we have to change. We have to listen to the science, what the science say of nutrition, and then the facts are clear. Yeah.
This is maybe not really a question, but you can afterwards say what you think about it. But what you said leads me to one of the points why this is so important, actually, from my side. No, because we, in this action, as you said, we had I think 14 media articles. We were twice in the TV, and as well online this counter statement that we could bring, and the moment we will go to court if we have to go is as well like a possibility. No, so really we can show a lot to the public after the action. We can say what we think, and this is a big opportunity to do this kind of action. So what else do you think? Why is it so important to do civil disobedience? Why is it not enough to give out leaflets at the train station, for example?
That's it. That's a good question. So the historic shows us that social disobedience works and have a huge impact. We have many examples. And of course, it's not in one time we do all. We have to repeat in different ways. We have to be intelligent and creative and generate ideas how we can disturb the system and interrupt the system. So we have to repeat, because the question, the point of view is, in my case, I had every day, before I went to became vegan, I had every day this shock with my colleague that he was representing every day a vegan, and confronted me every day with these questions. But in the normal, the most people haven't that. That's the problem. So when we have the possibility in different cases to give these messages, the brain are working, and in the best case, they change the behavior. So we have to, and that's what works. And also, of course, when I think also monetary, that when we don't buy these products and many more people go on, the industry have to change also, because they don't sell these products anymore. So then that's the problem then for them. So we have to go to both sides. One time is on one hand, we have to inform people. In the other hand, we have to boycott products and disturb and interrupt the system. And heavier, yes.
Before you said history has shown that this works, but you didn't go into it. Can you please tell us what you mean by history show that civil disobedience?
For example, one was you told about Martin Luther King, for example. He did also social disobedience, and he was successful.
Who was
For
he?
example, successful.
Who was Martin Luther King? Maybe
And what he did.
Yeah, because people who watch this maybe.
Sorry, yes, he
No
was
problem.
citizen in America, black color, and for the human rights, and for the to leave this apartheid, this two-class system, white people and the other, and mix, for example, schools, not only schools for white people and the other for the other people, and so for privileged, for example, and so on, or separate the toilets and separate drink water and so on. These are so stupid ideas. And Martin Luther King was one of this opinion leader. Was such a good speaker. And he did many things. For example, he had many ideas. One was to boycott buses, that people of color don't take buses, and then the moneyless. Many people of color went on foot or with bicycle or with taxis for also from people of color. And to work, for example, for working, and the buses had problem monetary. They had not so many more money, and then they had to change some rules. For example, that people of color also could sit on the buses in front, and not only behind, and that also people of color could have a job by buses, for example, and so on. So many things, a little point changed, and then they had to change the whole system because they had economical problems. Or they went, for example, it was an idea from Gandhi, but Martin Luther King took this idea. They had marches. They did marches, colons, and it was also not allowed from the police and for the government, but they did that. and that this was an interrupting moment because all public looked what happened now, and the problem was for the police when they intervened and had so violence, also hatten Gewalt angewendet.
They used violence.
Yes, used violence. That was a problem for there because for the image. So he knew Martin Luther King. We can do that, and the police had couldn't stop them because the image was a problem then. Yeah. So we can look for ideas how we can do some point, and that the other side has problem because the other people then tell bad about themselves.
I think actually that's a good point. No, when we're, for example, locked up in a farm and the farmer is hitting us, the police is dragging us out, but we're just peacefully sitting there singing songs.
Yeah.
The public will relate more to us because they don't want to be related to the bad guys. So this is a huge advantage when staying peaceful.
Yeah.
Even I know many vegans, they tell me, yeah, but how can you, when the farmer is slapping you, how can you not slap him back? You have to for the animals. No, but of course the reason is that first of all, I don't know what you think, but we believe we cannot fight violence with violence. But the second thing is one bad picture where we just push the farmer back and the whole action is jeopardized. No, it's like violent activists go to the farmer and threat him, or so it's a huge plus what you said.
Yeah. We have in these actions, in these occupations, we have your bystander that they give us like a security person, but they don't use violence, but they stand then there and give, wie sagt man, Schutz, security, protect them. And that's the only one. I think so, like you, that we can't take violence for this because it's love-based and we have to be non-violence. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I think here the basic idea is that you get the attention, right? Because we're fighting here the big industries. We're fighting here a lot of ideas that are very old and habitual, which means that people do not see anything else than what they're doing, and they do this in the autopilot. And I think here is the challenge is actually to point out the problems, right? Because it's not just the system. Of course, the system is a problem. Of course, this is the base. But to change the system, you need, I don't know, go to politics. You need to, I don't know, maybe use violence, I don't know, to make war, which we don't want. Of course, it's not the point. The thing is how you can actually change the system is through people. Because people has the power, you know. If you're paying for products, if you are paying for violence, then this is on you. And people, we as people, like you said before, 8 years ago, you had no idea what you were supporting. Although you were smart enough, you were smart as today, you knew things, you were a teacher already and so on, But the thing is, we need to be reminded on things. And that's why I think this kind of shocks that we actually get through these kind of actions are very useful, very helpful, even though it seems at first, this is bad. This is bad for veganism. This is bad for, I don't know, for the movement or whatever, which we heard a lot, in the past, and I'm sure you as well. I mean, every day, yeah. But the thing is, the attention, and we need to get the attention for, of course, not a lot of money because we don't have so much money as these big institutions. And this is the thing, what we're trying to do here, to get attention, to speak for the animals and to show the problems. And what you're saying right now, to speak up peacefully, in a way that Martin Luther King did, and to be even more peaceful like Nelson Mandela or Gandhi and so on, that you don't fight back, you show the problem, and then the one who is observing decides what's correct and what's not correct. And of course, we need to do more and more. I'm just trying to replicate things what we're talking now because I try to understand as well, And I think it's very important to do this as often as possible so people get to this idea more and more because we need stacking,
right.
Sometimes you just hear about something, you forget, and then you hear twice, and then you hear 3 times, like you did with your friend, and he was there as a mirror. And this is the mirror for the, the whole environment, country, and so on. Who is looking these newspapers, news, and so on. So, I'm getting more and more on this side that this is very important, and this could be very effective as well, right?
Absolutely. For example, yesterday I took every chance to point and to give this attention. Yesterday, I take the bus and the tram and so on and the train to go to work. And then I take every day the 20-minute newsletter. It's a little newsletter, and a newspaper. Sorry, that was the word. And I look which article, and then do something about flesh, about that animal activists want that the flesh price to have to get higher, more expensive. And then I took this newspaper to the school, and I let it on the table, that many people could see that also. So still point. And I think you can do also as individual many things. For example, when I go buy food, I take flyer and I do it in the letterboxes, or I let it in the train, some paper, some fact sheets, and so on. So that's, and also sticker. You can let also some sticker, and so that the people are convinced, wie sagt man, gezwungen, forced to see, and someone took this and read and let it then, and the other take it and bring it home and maybe change also the behavior. So that's my hope. That's my pedagogical optimism.
The thing is, we never know what works, right? Because there's so many different people, so many different stories, background, or also focuses, and also like levels of understanding things, but yeah, we need to do whatever necessary. And this kind of actions that you are doing, especially you and Anya, I think they get a lot of attention, and that's why this is also the background for everything else, for inspiration, for recipes, for other things, that are also very important.
Yeah.
But for example, we have one question here from the viewer that you
I like this question.
Might answer. Anya.
Well, I let you first answer. The comment is from Nele. Tomorrow we will do a performance in the public. Any advice how to react on engagement by the authorities? I have my very own opinion on that, but I guess you have a bit of a different one, so I let you speak first.
Yeah. I have a mindset. I can, as an activist, you can build an own mindset. One is, what do you think about yourself? What do you think about the world? And what is your message? And what I think as an animal rights activist, I think I'm a sympathetic and friendly man. So that's what I put in on myself. And then what I think on the world, I think maybe the world is open for some information. I hope that. And then I go to the people, for example, policemen, and I think I have this mindset. And then my message is, hey, vegan is the solution. That's what I think. And with this habit, I go in front of these people, of authorities, and I try to have this mindset every time in my mind. And then I start talking. What are they? What is the question of these people, for example? Of course, when the authorities will stop your protest action, then you can try to find what are, for example, Ängste,
Fears.
Fears, yes, and so on. For example, we had an action maybe 2 months ago. This was this lingerie protest action where I was also, and there was this police speaker. And then the police came and they told, what are you doing here? And it's obviously, I said, you can look what happens. And yeah, but that is not possible. And then you can also give questions. I gave this question, why not? What's the problem? And then he told me, the problem is sexualizing, and that could be a problem. Okay, then I had this idea. It's possible to put over mantle.
Coat.
Coat, thanks.
Coat, yeah.
And then this policeman stood here and said, I don't know, I have to ask. And then he took his phone. He gave this call on the police station. It took a long time. I think we stood there 45 minutes or an hour. It was a long time. But the success was that the police gave us this possibility with this code, and then a half hour more protest. And I saw that for this policeman was a new question. Oh, okay, this is a reframe. I did a reframe, for example. What is when we cover a little bit? And then for this policeman was, I had no idea, is possible or not. And that opened a little bit. In other way, I saw that they had stopped all. And so that was, I think, what in this moment was the best way to go ahead for a half hour more. So, yeah.
So, I guess it depends a lot what your outcome is and your attitude. So Robert has completely different attitude than me on these things. For me, the main goal is getting a very good video that gets a lot of views and getting a lot of media attention. And I don't go for compromises. I am there and I'm there. I know when we do actions together, I'm always the one who says, yeah, but if the police arrives, I stay. And if we do this with different people, we have to go to a consent. But when I'm alone, for me, it's very clear. I have the right to be here. I'm not doing anything wrong. What's happening to the animals is so terrific that if you want me to leave, you take me to the police station and only then I go. And this is how I get a lot of views with like this action in COP, for example. Of course, police they followed us afterwards, but we let us drag out by the staff. We didn't just go like this. Because for me, it's really like if I make a compromise with them, I mean, in a way, I accept that I'm wrong standing there, but I'm not. So for me, this is very clear. But
this is also a good mindset. This is also a good mindset.
Completely different. This is my approach. But so it depends what your action is, Nele. I don't know what you want to achieve. If you want just maybe to take some pictures or some videos and then go out. I have seen this as well. You have a very cool video after 2 minutes, then you leave. And you don't get arrested. You always need to look, is getting arrested good for what I do or not? Because I don't want unnecessary arrests, because, I mean, ending up in jail for me, if I really have to, okay, but not if I don't. So it's always like, what's the win and what's what I lose? But for sure, I know that I have the right to be there. And if they want to drag me out, then so be it. It's just completely different. And there is no right or wrong in these things.
No, absolutely.
I would just like to add something here, because I think it's important. I agree with Anya 100%. And I would like to point this out. Whatever action you do, for example, I believe, this is my opinion, of course, that it's the most important that you put this on camera or on live stream, on pictures and stuff like that. Why? Because when you go on these kind of actions, you, of course, reach some people and they got shocked and they got maybe triggered to do something or whatever. And this is amazing. And you can get, I don't know, maybe even like 100,000 people if you go in some stadium or something. But the thing is, that with videos, with pictures, with live streams and stuff like that, you can reach so much people for so little effort. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is that you whatever you do, and this is not concretely like the answer to Nele, but it's like maybe add on, that the focus is what you're going to get from this that you can use even later for the next month, maybe next years and so on. So if you get a good footage, like Anya said, it's not important to go in jail for this. But if this helps to get more attention, to get more people notice you and notice the problem that you're talking about, then I think this is gold.
For example, Matei had one of my happiest days. No, it was not the happiest day, but when I got 3 letters from the police to go to court for 3 cases, I was like, yes, I can get the message out. It's not the coolest, of course, for my personal life, but who cares? Like what happens to the animal is so much worse than my personal life. And these are chances to bring the issue to the big public. So keep this always in mind when doing an action, that these are great opportunities to speak up.
Yeah.
By the way, I never saw anyone being so happy to go into court yet. No, but you see, you need to understand the attitude. She knows why she's doing this, and she's going to get more attention for the cause she's fighting for in her life. So,
And other
But Robert,
activists outside can give this message to the other people, of course. I did also today a message, this one. I work in the school, and today is efforts. Animal first on the second. I fasting for the animals, for this suffering and against this suffering. This is the empty plate, means an empty plate with knife and fork. And every children asked me, what's that, this signal? And I explained that. And also teacher, they don't, not all didn't know this signal. Some teachers, they know that because every month on the second I wear this sign. And then we have discussions.
sorry, maybe I skipped it, but you have this sign and you don't
Yeah.
eat for this day, every second of the month, right?
Yes.
And why you
The
don't eat?
whole day I
Fine.
drank also only water today. Yeah.
Why? What is the purpose of this? Yeah.
This is to wie sagt man, Bewusstsein für das Leiden.
to make people conscious
Yes,
of the
about
suffering of the animals.
what happens with the animals. Yeah. And you have discussions when you are on the table and you eat
the goal.
something. And you don't eat on this day, of course. And then they see that and they ask also, why do you don't eat today? And then you can say on every second on the month is animal first on the second. And have a look, you have hashtags, we have hashtags, and you can look what is, you can give these links also to people when they are more interested what is the point. And the goal is, of course, veganism, clear. Yeah.
It's actually a quite big movement, like that
Yeah.
exists all over the world in different
Yes,
groups and everything.
that's right,
So it's quite an interesting thing to do.
And I post also pictures and so on with these hashtags online. Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know, because I did this a couple of times, is because animals, before they go to slaughter for a day or two or three, even sometimes they don't eat. They don't get to eat,
Right.
This
that's
is
the part. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Maybe we can go back again because we missed this question, and I would be really interested what you think about this. Where does peaceful stop and where does violence start? We had once, maybe I can elaborate a bit. Once we did an exercise in some non-violence workshop, and we were like, I don't know, 40 activists, and the left of the room was not violent, the right of the room was completely violent, and in the middle, in the middle. And they asked people things like, if you break the car of the farmer, is this violent or not? And some people were like, no, it's an object. Some were like, yes, definitely. If this happened to me, I would see this as violent. So what do you think about this? Where does for you peacefully stop and violence begin?
For me, I don't destroy objects, and I also don't take violence acts. For me, this is a point that I thought about it, and I think, okay, no, this is what I can do. I can stand and I can't do nothing, and they have then to took me away, for example, blockade, and stay on. For example, this stable occupation. This is a good point. We were, I think, was 8 activists in this stable. I'm not so sure.
We're in the Langen. We were 14.
Yes,
and outside like 45.
Yeah, and we went. We was there 8 hours or on, and we had discussions also. So what at the point is to discuss also with the people, also to look what are they ready to come and say, okay, yeah, we think about it, or we will change that, or we give you some hands as a symbol, for example. That I think it's a good way
But
for a message.
For example, if you put yourself in the shoes of the farmer, this might be already violent for you. No, it's like your workplace, your animals, and a bunch of people are just like being there protesting. The police is all over. Like mentally, this he was crying in front of me. Like he had
Right.
literally
Yeah.
tear in his eyes. Would you consider this violent or physical, no mental violence, or not at all?
Yeah, that's a dilemma that we can't solve, because the problem is the system, and we have to choose a farmer. And now it could be also another farmer, but we can't choose because the system have all his hands and all the fingers in every location. And so we have to choose, and we have to confrontate, because the suffering of the animals is horrible, and this man, he can change. That's the point. We can choose, we can change the point, but the animals could that. So that he cry and so on, that's a point that happens. But for me, this is a point that's okay. That could be. But I can say, hey, man, but you're doing so bad things, and I know you don't see that, but I want to show you that, and please see that not correct what happens with these animals, and thousands of years. And you can say we did that every time and so on. That's so. No, that's not so. We have to change.
Actually,
But
what I
it's time to
found,
change.
sorry, yeah, what I found very interesting was his reaction. I've been in
Yeah.
quite some farms and I've seen quite some different reactions on these actions, and I feel like his mom was really angry at us. She was, I mean, she is old, a very traditional farmer, but he is the younger generation, or he was, I don't know, 35,
Yeah.
something like this.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I felt that he was desperate. I have no idea, this is my assumption, but and that in a way he thinks that maybe we're right, like because we were his mirror, we were standing there for these animals, and this is a very powerful tool again with civil disobedience, that even the people who cause the harm, that we might make them see what they didn't want to see themselves, by being there peacefully, and as well risking our freedom for these animals. Because many people, I remember at the beginning, they didn't take my activism seriously. Like, oh yeah, you do cubes on Saturday, and I'm not saying this is not good enough, but I know, since I'm risking my freedom on a regular basis for the animals, I get so many people who are not vegan who tell me, wow, this means a lot to you, this is damn serious, and they inform themselves.
Yeah.
So just this fact, what we risk for them is very powerful as well.
Very good. Good example. Yeah.
Let's just think about some perspective here, because if we're talking about violence and how violent activists are, let's think about how much violence is in the world of animal agriculture. If you just take a look how many animals we kill, on daily basis, on weekly basis, monthly, yearly. I mean, these numbers are so high. Even if I say the number, it's not going to mean anything to you because it's such a high number. And also, these are all individuals. These are animals who feel pain. They are afraid. They are cold. They are surprised. They do not expect to be harmed like in the way that they are. So if we're talking about the violence, let's put this in perspective, that this violence is like horrible what's happening. So if we activists do some sort of, I'm going to use this word now, peaceful violence, of course, it's very contradictory, but peaceful violence means that we still don't harm anything else, and we don't do violence towards objects, towards people, toward anyone, because we really do this peacefully. Of course, this is violent towards someone because people can feel the violence just by these kind of things, But it's very important to understand that even though we do these kind of things, even if you do even harder things, this is, in the name of the reason why we're doing this, justified, and we need to do even more. And the point of this conversation today is also not just to talk about these things, is this correct, is that correct, we should do this or not, but the point is we want to inspire more people to do these kind of actions, because we need critical mass if you want to change the world, because
that's it.
we're talking sometimes, if you want to change something, or we just want to do activism to do activism, because it's okay, it's nice to be active, it's nice to talk for the animals and so on, it's amazing. But the thing is, at least for us three, I can say in certainty that we want change. And if you want change, then we need civil disobedience, which is uncomfortable for us. This is not comfortable for Anya. Is it comfortable for you?
It's not comfortable, but I feel like I'm fighting the war that is necessary for the animals. I feel like I really do something. And these reactions, like for example in Coop, in the supermarket, when the people yelled at me, gives me fuel. It makes me angry. It makes me go forward. So yes, it's not comfortable, but it makes me do what is necessary. So
Absolutely,
yeah, hopefully we're going to inspire more people in that. And also you can contact Robert, contact us, do things to...
if you want to do farm occupations as well, like hello, you can come here and ask me and getting involved. There will be like 2 things next year already that are being planned. So just contact me to know more. And because we need people. The more we are, the more powerful we are.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's so necessary being with the victims. I mean, we are vegan for them. We are vegan for the victims, and we need to be with them in their most painful moments, no? And look them in the eyes and show their faces. And that's only possible when we're actively where they are tortured and abused.
And to see that's not necessary, and we can change our habits and behavior. Yeah.
For sure, and we many times talk about how important it is to understand that if we are in pain as an activist, we are like afraid of some things. We are in a comfort zone. We think what other people think, or maybe we are cold, or maybe we are afraid. I don't know. Whatever we feel, has nothing to do in comparison with animals, how they feel every day. Because right now animals are dying in the bloody, I don't know. Yeah. It's crazy. I for example, I cannot even watch slaughterhouse footage still, and I'm vegan for 4 years, more than 4 years. The thing is that this violence is so great, so big that we need to do something. Whatever you do, it's amazing, and you should just do something. You should talk about this with people. But if you can do more, if you can get more attention for the animals, as Bumriku, maybe with this civil disobedience, I mean, the more people are going to do this, the better chances we have to change something sooner. And I mean sooner. This is the key here. Because we're going to see the vegan world no matter what. Because maybe it's not going to be because of why we're doing this, but we're going to see this. Might be because of environment, maybe because of the health issues. We don't talk about these things, but food is really directly correlated to diseases that are killing us in such a numbers that's crazy. Yeah. But in any case, we're going to see vegan world. But if you want to see this sooner, and if you want to sleep better every day, we need to do something. First of all, going vegan, and then, of course, speaking for the animals, whether we like it or not, but we need to do something that's going to make this world better.
I have one question as well for Robert about this all sounds amazing, not practically, but most of us have a job. You're as well a teacher. And how do you deal with when you have legal problems, when you have now a letter that says you probably will have to go to court? How do you deal with this when you have a job?
Yeah. One point is that I think about, for example, I can tell, okay, I'm 1-2 days sick. I give a phone call, for example. But my my director know that I am an animal rights activist, and she read also some article about with me, an interview, for example, in a famous newspaper. It's a big newspaper, Zürcher Oberländer, for example.
Okay.
And she lives in Zurich Oberland, so she had also this newspaper. So it's not a secret what I do. So when I'm in court, I can also give a phone call and say, listen, now it happened. It happened that I'm in the jail. Yeah. Or in the other hand, I can also say 1 day, 2 days, I'm sick. I'm at home, and so
cool.
I don't must tell all things what happens. But she know that, and she finds a good way for her. She, of course, she's director of a school, but her doctor, 1.5 years ago, she came, this director, and her daughter had she had a project about some political statement, and then she asked me if she can interview me, and of course, and I showed her some things also, and she was also in an action, in a demonstration and so on, and she went vegetarian because she is now 16 years old. She's in family, so it's a little bit tricky to went vegan, but the whole family is thinking about to change really seriously, and that is interesting. We had only 2-time contact each one, so 2 hour per hour, 2 hour, and then she talked more about this and went immediately after our meetings vegetarian, and now I think she step by step also went vegan, became vegan.
Nice.
As a vegan. Yeah, and it's not so easy because the father is a carnivore, but I think also he is changing and thinking about that.
So yeah, when you're an activist, then you change people's life in any step, whenever you can, right?
Yeah.
But I would like to ask you more about this, because you're a teacher and you still do these things in a big way. I mean, I don't know anyone who is more in many more actions than you are. But the thing is, what would you say to people who are afraid of losing jobs, or who don't know if should they do something or not, or they just don't do anything? What would your message be to them?
One good point is here, this is a movement, a social movement, and we have many phases of possibilities also. So you can do other things. You can do legalized things, go to a demonstration. They are allowed have contact with other vegans, animal rights activists, and look what you can do together, build a group, and do some flyer action, and so on. They have many, or go also in front of slaughterhouses. This is also allowed events. We have on Facebook, Instagram, and so on. We have these dates, and you can look, and this is okay, and you have no problems with authorities and police and so on, and the law. So you can do that. If you
so you can always do something, right?
Yeah.
I still would like to give my 2 cents to this. I mean, of course, there are many different situations of a life, and so I don't want to judge or not, but still, I always think, would you want to work for someone who is not okay if you do legal and illegal actions that are peaceful for a cause where others are harmed? For example, I quit my job as a branch manager in a travel agency because for me it was just like, I don't want this anymore. I was in jail in Netherlands, and I got already like a warning from my boss because I make them look bad. And then this was for me the decision, okay, this is not where I want to work. And then when I had interviews and they thought about my path, for me it was clear I will address this at the moment of an interview, because they want my juridical paper, like where they see if I have had criminal records. And for me it was clear, if for someone it's a reason to not take me that I did these actions, then I don't want to work there, because it's a difference if I rob the bank and shoot 3 people or 1, it doesn't matter, or if I fight for abused animals.
Absolutely.
So this is always something to take in consideration, to look for another job where this is accepted, maybe find a way as well with your employee, like borders that find an agreement. For example, with farm occupations, we always need an amazing green team, people who are outside of the farm, chanting, having the placards, talking to media. It's sometimes even more important than the team inside. I mean, both is important, but just there are as well gray zone actions, and really think about the war situation we are in, and if there is not another way to find a job where you can do these things, because it's so important that we speak up for the animals in the biggest way that we can.
The consequences could be you change your whole lifestyle, of course, your jobs and so on. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Or if it's your also possibility that you can do 100% animal rights activist, and you get paid for that. It's difficult, but it's also, I know some activists that is possible.
And
I
don't
think,
be
for
afraid.
example, Ersling Ed, I think, for example.
And mainly, really don't be afraid. You know, like I
Yeah.
started the studies as a medical nurse, which now sometimes it's very difficult for me
Yeah.
because I have to be with animal abuse products more than I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah, that's it.
But if I would have, in these 3 months that I didn't work, would have gone more into online activism, I'm sure I could have paid off as a full-time activist because I got now amazing offers, but now I'm stuck in studies. So if you really have this dream, go for it, find ways, because there are ways. If you do an amazing job, there are people out there who are willing to pay good activists. That, yeah, you will find your way if you really believe in it. So
That's
just don't be
a good
afraid.
point. Also, a good mindset. I find a way. I will find a way. Yeah, yeah. You're right. That's also a point.
Good. Since I just want to say something from the earlier topic, but I think it's very important, because a lot of people are there afraid of someone who made. If you have a job, you think you might lose a job if you do activism. If you have a company, you think maybe people won't work with you and so on. If you whatever, we have many reasons. But let me tell you also from my side, that for years now I have a company in Slovenia. I still work there, and I lost a lot of businesses because of what I did.
Okay.
But I was never sorry about that, because I really don't want to work with people who support violence and who don't even have this open mind to understand why this is happening and why am I doing this. And the thing is, that even though some doors are closed or closes, some other doors open, because I get
that's
most
right.
customers who are
That's
like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you do an amazing job. I want to work with you. So always focus on what you want to do in life and be a best version of yourself. And then, of course, you find the way to for the money or for the for people, for example. Also, we found each other because we really feel the same way about many things, and this is amazing. But before it was like really hard with other people in general. So yeah, I think it's important to do in this way. So Robert, you are a great example of what we're talking about right now. So
thank you. You
amazing.
too.
Thank you.
I learned so many good activists in this last years. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. Good people, open-minded, and ideals and so on, are very encouraged and so inspiring. Also wonderful. Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's an amazing job what you're doing, and really you're so active in many areas, not just the civil disobedience, but also many other things like giving away flyers.
Yeah.
Sorry about my English, by the way. Giving away flyers, talking to people on streets, talking to people in the school when you work with your students. Of course, speeches, you do amazing speeches and so on. So I'm really looking forward to work with you even more. But maybe as I did the last time, I'm gonna maybe put Anya in the water right now to maybe just conclude what we were talking about for the whole time. And then maybe the last thought, Robert, will be yours, so we can prepare maybe something that you want to share with our viewers. So Anya, go ahead.
So I wrapped this thing up for people who joined in later, and just to give a summary. So we had this interview about Robert, who is a teacher and started his way of being vegan and active 8 years ago for the animals. He did many things along the way, just as Matej said. So legal actions as giving out leaflets, holding speeches, being at cubes for Animals for the Voiceless, but as well actions as going to farms, locking himself up with in front of the farm, or being with the animals to show the suffering, even if this means he has to go to court. And during this interview, we talked about many things. If this makes our movement look bad, and why this is necessary to create social change, so that we could see this in the past with Gandhi, Martin Luther King, who fought for the rights of humans, and why this created a big change, and how we can get media attention with this kind of actions, how we can show that we are really serious about the matter because we're ready to face legal problems. So watch the whole thing to know more about why civil disobedience is so important. And Robert talked as well about how he deals with it in the job as a teacher, doing this kind of actions and being involved in legal problems. We said that this is a war, and it's important that we fight the war properly, that we go out of our comfort zone, that even if we have legal problems, that we really understand that it's a problem of the system and that we need to break the laws that are unjust, because just because it's a law doesn't make it morally right. and the animals need us. They need us in a big way, and that's why civil disobedience is important. I just said for the last time, for next year's, for the next year, I'm planning 2 actions already. So if you want to get involved and you watch this, please write to me. I would love to see as many people as possible for these actions. Robert, now I talked a lot. What do you want to say in the end of this podcast?
Yeah. Be inspired, make your steps, and have a lot of encouragement, mutig sein, be brave, yes, and build a good mindset for your activism. What do you think about yourself? Good thought, positive, affirmative thought. What do you think about the whole world? Also positive thoughts and sentences. And what do you think about other people? And what is your message? That's only for your brain, for your mind. And go ahead and stay healthy. Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Robert, for being with us.
Yeah,
for me, this gave me a lot of fire, this talk. Actually, I would love to go out to the streets right now and be active for the animals.
Yeah.
You, Matej, will you do more civil disobedience now?
I might. But here's another comment. Hey, I'm not finished eating my bowl of grass and stuff. So let's continue with this conversation maybe for some time. Yeah. Well, I'm joking, but really, Robert, thank you so much for accepting this conversation, this podcast. But in any case, you're a great inspiration, and really people who are watching this, of course, who are already active, we can always go more active or stay active let's inspire more people to go active together.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yes. And if you're not vegan yet, then
go vegan.
What would you say, Robert?
Go vegan.
Go vegan.
The only solution and so easy.
So simple and so right
easy.
Yeah. You only don't need. Yeah. Anyway.
You have no counter argument.
So that's it. Good. Thank you so much. It was an amazing podcast. Let's share this video between your friends. Let's comment below, maybe your thoughts, your opinions, maybe ask some questions. For sure, Robert is going to respond later. And for now, we're saying goodbye. But until next time, have fun, be active, and again, be active for the animals because they are all, you are all they have.
And don't worry to break the law for them because they need you. See
you
later.
Good. That's important. Yeah.
Tschüss.
Thank you.